Excellent. Good morning. My name is Brian Lane. I'm the JIRA product manager. Being the button pusher because my remote seemed to stop working 5 minutes before this presentation is Dylan Ecken. He's a dev tech lead on the JIRA team.
Hello.
Hit the space bar.
Sorry,
So I just want to say welcome to Summit. Welcome to the State of the Union. This is a picture of the people that bring you JIRA. So just quickly, if you're in this photo, could you please stand up? So I'd just like to introduce you to Anton. He is our he's the dev man behind JIRA. So if you have any questions during the summit, Anton, myself, Dylan, we'd love to be able to talk to you guys. See what if you have things you want that you enjoy about JIRA, or things that you don't enjoy. We'd love to hear your feedback. Next. Okay, so today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about JIRA and the market, and then I'm going to focus on past, present, and future. So kind of where we've been with 3.13, where are we now with 4, and then where we're going. So our market, we have today about 11,000 JIRA customers. With that, our partner network is very, very strong, about 220 partners. You heard from the keynote yesterday about the stimulus package with Room to Read. This was very amazing. We tracked all this data in Confluence internally. So the deal was $5, 5 days, 5 users. Within 5 days, we sold 6,712 licenses in 86 countries of JIRA alone. So every time I get back from a meeting, I just hit the refresh, and you could basically see the amount of JIRA sales ticking up per minute. It was really addicting. Sit there and watch that. And then we know from the data of the attendees that 76% of you, in general, at the conference, hopefully everyone here uses JIRA, but 76% of all Summit attendees use JIRA today. So you may have seen this slide used in some of the other presentations. This talks about a very simplified model of the software lifecycle, where you have Confluence for documenting, Fisheye for source code integration, build and release, Bamboo, etc. But the key thing here is that JIRA is really in the middle. This is what we'll be focusing on. And so all these tools, the arrows go directly in the middle, so we have a really good integration between our internal tools and JIRA itself. And we do this with a strong set of APIs. So a little bit of JIRA in our specific tools. Here, I'll do this. All right, so you see here Confluence macro. Here you've got Crucible 2.0, a really big integration point for JIRA. As well, we have various IDE connectors. Bamboo 2.1 integration with JIRA was very, very key to that product. And Fisheye 2, which is being released as well. So we do this with a really, really strong ecosystem internally. With JIRA, the plugin 2.x architecture are APIs. So internally, and our products is the center of our development world. But we don't stop there. We also use these tools and extend it out to our partner network. So you've got some partners that are represented here today. ALM works with their JIRA client, Balsamiq, Glyphy, TaskTop with the Mylan connector, and our own Atlassian IDE connectors, all hook up into JIRA itself. We've even extended out to the iPhone. So these are 2 iPhone clients available today, the JIRA Mate and iJIRA. The people who are doing the iJIRA are also doing I think it's called JIRA, so they're doing an Android version as well. So in summary with that, our partners just rock. can I get a show of hands? How many here are actually partners? Quite a few of you. That's really good. I mean, using our tool set internally and then making that available externally, you guys really do extend your phone, really do extend into our environment, and it's just really amazing. So having all these plugins, that's really awesome. But if we don't make an easy way for you to find them and install them, then it's kind of a fail. So we've launched this plugins exchange, plugins.atlassian.com. So why is this really, really important? It allows the end users to really find the plugins that you care about. So we have these categorizations, the ability to search these plugins, as well as being able to rate and comments. Think of it very much like the App Store from iTunes or iTunes itself. And when this went live and I checked it, we have 102 JIRA plugins available now. And these are really like up-to-date in development plugins now. You're really going to like that, I believe. So just a little bit about our market. Let's focus a little bit on 3.13. So how many of you here, by show of hands, are running 3.13 today? Excellent. So I won't spend a lot of time on this thing, but you know that it was released on September 9th. It has been our most downloaded version ever. We spent a lot of time focusing on user requests. In general, if you go back and you look at our public instance of JIRA.Atlassian.com, you add up all the improvement requests, the number of votes we saw was about 1,500. That's the largest largest vote count that we've done for any JIRA release ever. With that, it had 85 plus improvements, and it was our biggest release so far. Notice so far. So what did you guys what got people to upgrade to this? What are some of the user improvements that we focused on? Well, we did some performance improvements. We formed we did edit active workflow. It's a really big request. I'm sure many of you appreciate that one. Dashboard sharing, as well as filter sharing down to groups and roles. And another big request was also project import. So from 3.13, there's not going to be a 3.14. I mean, you pretty much saw from the keynote yesterday, 4.0 is really our next biggest thing. But what do we do for customers between that time? So we've been doing these point releases. So just here is just a version breakdown, the release dates, and about the number of issues that we've addressed in each of those. And these point releases are focused mainly around bug fixes. It's not any sort of major improvements or regressions. We want you to really feel secure knowing that when you move to one of these, that you're not taking a step backwards. The reason you'll see around 85 issues resolved in 3.13.3 is because we addressed a lot of localization issues at that point with French and German languages. So enough about 3.13. You guys all know that. Let's talk a little bit more about 4.0. So again, center of your development world. Some areas I want to focus on, and these were touched on in the keynote a bit: dashboards, JQL, some of our UI improvements that we're working on, streams, our ecosystem, and the plugins to architecture. So this will be our biggest and best release ever. The one feature that a lot of you have seen, JQL, is currently our #1 requested feature. It addresses so many issues. We know that search was a very pain point, if you will, within JIRA. And this feature alone is 1,000 plus votes within our public instance. If you think back, or a couple slides ago, the 3.13 addressed 1,500 in total. JQL addresses 1,000 plus, and that's just one feature of everything. Right now with the beta, we're looking at about 150 other improvements and fixes. But that number is just going to continue to increase as we get closer and closer to general availability. Another big thing you saw, dashboards. I'm going to touch on that, as well as some platform changes with all this new technology. And I got some more surprises. So the JIRA query language. Again, it's a high-level SQL-like syntax. It is not a bolted-on feature. It is actually core to the JIRA itself. So all searching within JIRA now is driven by JQL. So even if you're not using JQL directly, you are using JQL. So if you go to the Find Issues page and use the UI on the left, all of that UI is all driven under the scenes with JQL. So that's great and all, Brian, but what's that mean, right? So from a plugin developer side, you now have this rich JQL API that's going to be exposed to you. So you're going to be able to, from the integration side, be able to extract data out of JIRA using JQL in ways that you haven't been able to before. And this also, from the end user side, allows you to create a much more granular filters. So you really get to see data in ways that you haven't been able to work with. And of course, autocomplete. So in talking about some of the things that you couldn't do before and what JQL actually enables you to do, think of like JIRA today, all of the queries are and related. When you use the UI on the left, it's always this and this and this. So big request, JRA 1560, was about negation, other Boolean operators, being able to search empty fields and null fields. That alone, again, I put the little vocab up there. That's a separate issue, but that was a big user request of you guys. Also, lists, relationals. Functions. Functions are super cool. What we've been able to do with this implementation is to now bring functions in. So these are just a sample here of like being able to do like votes and watchers of particular issues, certain groups, etc. We now have a really good base infrastructure to then add additional functions post for. And as a developer, you also have the capability to write your own functions for the system. So again, JQL really does let you unlock the data within JIRA. And with the rich JQL API that we will have, client developers will benefit, end users benefit, as well as integration partners and software. So enough little talking about it. Let's see it in action. Dylan.
Hello, everybody. You may have seen me before. Dylan, the JIRA tech lead. I'm just going to show you a little bit about JQL. I think it's one thing to see it in the slides, but it's another thing to sort of see it in action. I just have a couple of examples that I want to run you through right now that should show you sort of the use cases that we're talking about, how JQL can sort of be used in combination in the ways that he's talking. In other words, the negations, the empties, the logical operators, those sorts of things, to build really sort of powerful queries that would fulfill use cases that you, as a user of JIRA, might actually encounter. The first thing I wanted to show you, I'm just going to quickly use some queries that I've set up in my history, so I don't have to type in the middle of all of this. This first query here, sorry, I believe it should, searching now. Thank you. So this first query here, I don't know, can you see that back there? Yeah, so we have a project is JIRA and fixed version is not empty and resolution is empty. So this is a good example of how you could use the empty searching. Basically, the use case here is that you have all of the issues that still need to have some work done for a given release, right? So the fixed version has been set, but the actual issue hasn't been resolved yet, right? And you can actually utilize this to search all the issues that you still have to actually do some work on. Another example that I can give you is this one here. Votes is greater than 20, and fixed version is empty, and priority is greater than or equal to critical. What you're looking at here is all the critical or higher issues that have a lot of votes and that need to be scheduled to be fixed, right? So it's a good way of utilizing the relational operators to sort of tell, right, I know I have issues inside my system, but you know, show me the ones that are really highly voted, right, like past a certain threshold. And also you can utilize the relational operators on any of the ordered fields in JIRA. So priority is an ordered field. In our case, you know, the nice thing about using relationals, I mean, you've sort of in the past you've been able to enumerate the values that you were looking for. But with using relationals, you can sort of modify your JIRA instance, and the query will always remain the same, right? If you add any priorities that are higher than critical in the future and issues added into that, the filters will obviously, the saved filters will obviously pick those up as well. Right. So I have an example here of OR, right? As Brian pointed out, in JIRA land, you could always use ANDs through the issue navigator. So when you build queries, those were sort of, you had no choice, right? Those were going to AND the different fields together. So here we have an example of all the issues that are overdue, or you actually forgot to set a due date on those issues, right? So the project is JIRA. The due date is less than now, using the relational again. Now is a built-in function that sort of allows you to say point in time is the time that I'm running this function. Or the due date is empty. So once again, utilizing empty and showing the power of sort of finding all the issues where it's either this or that. The other powerful thing that JIRA, JQL brings to JIRA is the not, right? You can utilize not either using the not keyword where you negate a positive expression, or like in this example here, where I want to find out all the issues that I reported but aren't assigned to me, right? Again, utilizing a function, a built-in function. Current user is the current user who's logged into JIRA at the moment, and just showing how you can utilize the not operator to find all the expressions where a certain value is not the one that has been specified. And the last example I have for you here is trying to show the power of functions, right? So what I'm saying here is, my use case here is I've been browsing around in JIRA, right? I've visited a number of issues, and I know that one of the issues I've recently seen, at least within the last 50 or so issues, was the issue that I'm looking for. And I also remembered that issue was linked to a certain other issue. I happen to choose a somewhat notorious issue here, JIRA 1330. But I guess the idea is the power of these functions. Right? I've met a few people here that were very excited about the idea of linked issues. So you can specify the issue key, and if you wanted to, you could also specify the link type, right? And issue history is obviously, because issue history is persistent in JIRA 4.0, that becomes really powerful. And I think that's the last 50 issues that you've visited. And that just shows you a bit of what he was talking about, hopefully from a more realistic perspective, from a more built up and use case perspective of the things that Brian's talking about with JQL here. I'm going to hand it back over to Brian.
Thanks, Dylan. So that gives you a very kind of quick taste of some of the power you can do with the additional Boolean operators, the function capability. Dylan mentioned the persistent history. It's just really exciting from a reporting perspective. Okay, so that's JQL. I want to kind of change gears a bit and talk about dashboards. So dashboards, you've seen some of the demos earlier. It is implemented into JIRA as plugins. So the actual dashboard reference implementation is really plugins to JIRA. What this is going to bring really is the notion of portlets that you see today on your dashboards in 3.13, that they're now gadgets. So using the open social, it's an open API, open standard. If you are a plugins developer and you have, you actually have some portlets today, We do have a legacy bridge that will display your portlets on the new dashboard, but it should work. Not guaranteed. What you should really do, take a look now and start thinking about moving your portlet to a proper gadget. You've got some time before 4.0 is released, so now is probably a good time to start looking at that, or at least even testing it and rendering it with some of the legacy mode to see how it displays and behaves with the dashboard today. So this is really going to bring a new level of integration than JIRA. If you're working, we've got a site here, this Atlassian.com Open Social, went public a couple of days ago. But again, how kind of JQL allows you to see your data in all sorts of ways. Dashboards let you bring all of this data into JIRA. So let's go a little bit back in time. Who remembers this screen? So we're just going to call this JIRA 2.x, right? So this is the UI that you would see if you wanted to configure your portlets. So you see you've got a nice rich API, or excuse me, user interface you've got two columns, left and right. And if you wanted to move your particular portlet from the left, you click these little arrows and manipulate it. No. We got a little better in 3. So now when you configure your dashboard, you have all this chrome around the side, so you can actually move them around in there and place it. Step forward. Now within 4, you just drag these things and drop them wherever you want with the mouse. No full page refreshes, a little more modern UI. I think all of you are really going to enjoy that. So going back to what I was saying with JIRA being the center and how our ecosystem brings all these tools in. Dashboards itself allows you to bring this data in. So here's just an example of this is a blank dashboard. Bring in a couple of these gadgets. So these are actually rendered shipping with JIRA itself, activity streams, and the charting gadgets. But now I'll say I care about the weather. So this is just a gadget. This comes actually from the net, from let's say like one of the gadget repositories. Now I've also brought in Confluence data with the Confluence gadget. I want to look about some of my build information. So I've now got Bamboo in there. And for code review information, I brought Crucible in as well. So you now have the ability to take all these data points and present them in one nice dashboard. Again, being the center of your development world. Here, if you want to go in and add portlets to your dashboard, today this is what you see. In 4, this is what you're going to see. So it is very much like the Confluence macro browser. If any of you have seen that yet, it is modeled very much like that. So in the similar context of the plugins manager, of searching for your plugins and needing to have categorization and really finding them, we solve this problem as well in terms of trying to add gadgets. So gadgets are now categorized. You get a nice screenshot, some descriptions, links to them. You'll be able to add external gadgets into this as well. So being able to discover and search and find gadgets that you may find interesting to add to your dashboard. Carrying those same problems from the plugins.atlassian.com of finding discovery, we bring that actually into the dashboard element as well. This is one of my favorite ones. Is there anyone here today, by show of hands, that uses the Streams plugin today in JIRA? One guy in the back. 2, Tim, you work here. That's it's not fair. This is just really, really cool, and today it is an unsupported plugin, but what we're going to do in 4 is we're going to include it and fully support it. So really, what is it? Think of it, it's an activity stream. So you can be able to add this, and you'll actually see it in all sorts of areas within 4.0. It'll be a gadget that you can add onto your dashboard. You can put it, you'll see it in the project summary. You can get data from individual projects and users, etc. So this picture here, I don't know if you can read that in the back, is just an example of the stream itself. So you see the particular issues, someone's added an attachment. In terms of the configuration, you'd be able to do multiple projects. Today, the existing one, it's only one project. So you do multiple projects, you can do users, and how often this thing will refresh. You can actually go to an individual user and get an activity stream. And if you notice on the previous picture, there was a little RSS. So if you are interested in, and this is really how I use it a lot, I set up an activity stream for the JIRA project on Atlassian, or jira.atlassian.com, and I get an RSS feed of it. So if I'm in meetings a lot and I come back, I can see what has been going on, the activity for the complete project. So a lot of people have requested to be able to watch a given project. Activity streams allows you to do that. And you can even take it down to an individual issue level, which is what this is showing. When you see this as well, you can also do inline commenting, which is kind of neat. So if I see it in the stream in a gadget, you just hover over it, expand it out, comment, and be done. So with all this newer technology that you're seeing within 4, you're going to have to do a couple of things in terms of the environment that JIRA supports. So we're increasing the minimum Java version to 1.5. We would recommend that you use 1.6 for your best performance. From a database perspective, we're focusing on 4 main ones from databases and application servers. So this is just a list here of the key databases that we're looking at, as well as here the application servers and then web browsers. So how many, by a show of hands here, still use Internet Explorer 6? Okay, no one. Thanks. That's awesome. No, a couple of you. So what we will do for IE6, you will be able to use it. Most of the functionality will still be there. All major functionality within JIRA will be usable. You may see some sort of minor graphical issues in terms of if you do drag and drop or on hover, if you're hovering over things. Things may not be perfectly pixel aligned, but we will have all the functionality you need to do within JIRA itself. But your experience in terms of the prettiness will be best served through a different browser. But wait, there's more. So what you see here is we've been doing a lot of UI refresh, and this is a new project summary page that you see. And I just want to spend a couple minutes to kind of talk about a couple of points on here. So charting. Charting is now built in. There's no reason, when you install 4, there's no need to go out and actually get a separate charting plugin. We've actually included it into the product. Project avatars, we know certain people like to do some customizations, changing the header, changing the colors, changing the little logo in the upper left. What we've done here is allow you to now do a little customization at the project level. So we've got a couple of little icons that we're including. You're able to create your own and upload them. So you give a little more customization at the project level. In the upper right here, if you can't read that in the back, it's just like create, tasks, marketing, and other. Dylan mentioned earlier that persisted history is now inside 4. So we're using that to make JIRA a little more intelligent. So what it will do when you come into this design project, it knows that at logged in, I create tasks the most. So the history goes per project, per user, per issue type. So it knows like you use tasks the most, so that is dynamic. If I go to another project where I'll say I create a bugs the most, bugs will be up there in the upper right-hand corner. Now we'll do the first and second most created issue types, but then if you need to do a one-off and create the drop-down, you can just choose your other issue type right there. And you're going to see us start leveraging this in other ways in the system with the history. I mentioned activity stream. Now, activity stream is on the summary page for at a per project level, just automatically. We didn't stop there. We're also doing a little bit of refinement with the issue navigator itself, which is what we call internal issue navigator, and also in the documentation. But if you're not familiar with the term, it's the grid, if you will, when you're doing queries that shows a list of all the issues. So we've added a new column called actions. And the 4.0 pre-builds that I've shown to customers, they're really digging this, and I think you guys will really like it too. So it just allows you to, from an actual issue level, just click on it and then go down and perform some sort of action from that. We've also cleaned up the header a bit, so if you're familiar with Confluence, for the icons and the behavior with like the tools and views. But we didn't stop there. As I said, this is our biggest release. So we've also done some indexing improvements with Lucene. We've standardized our JavaScript library to jQuery. I think we've got about 5 existing JavaScript libraries in JIRA 3.x. Now we're moving to 1. This is the exact same JavaScript library that Confluence uses today. So now you'll slowly start to see more and more UI elements between Confluence and JIRA, similarities between them. We've also done a doc type update. If you're familiar with web standards and quirks mode, we had a lot of issues when we did UI changes to basically fighting with pixel alignments and stuff. So now we're actually in a standards compliance mode across web browsers, and that's really going to help us continue as we do additional UI improvements. So as you said, as was announced yesterday, 4.0 Beta 1 is now available. Anyone here download it yet, install it? Okay. As of this morning, I checked it. Every time someone downloads it, I get an email message. I had about 500 something email messages this morning, so it's been launched yesterday, and so far 500 people have downloaded it, so that's pretty exciting. It includes everything that you've seen today, and then the combinations of dashboards and JQL that we were adding in 4. And if you think back with some of the features we've done in 3.13 with dashboard sharing and improved filter sharing, like having those features of what we've delivered in 3.13 combining with 4, it's really, really powerful, and it's just a whole new level of awesome. So check it out, give us your feedback, and if you find any issues with it, log into JIRA-Atlassian.com and raise an issue there. A little bit about Beta 2. As I said, Beta 1 is not feature complete. We are still developing this stuff. So we're doing some additional UI changes, and this is just a little teaser to kind of let you know of things that we're working on. So we're revamping the header in Beta 2. And this is a mock-up that I've done, but talk about some of the persistent history. So we're looking at making JIRA more intelligent. So as from the summary pages of a project, how it knows which issue types you're working on, we're also going to start knowing which projects are your favorites with various dashboards. We're tracking all this history now, and will allow you to easily navigate from the header itself. So when does all this stuff actually become released and you can deploy it? We've been doing monthly internal releases. Beta 1 is our first external public release. It's available now. We'll continue a monthly release, so Beta 2 you'll see in July. Then we should be pretty much code complete at that point, and we'll go to a release candidate phase. You'll see that in the August timeframe. And We'd like to get this out by September, but really that depends a lot on you guys. So we really want your feedback. That's why we're doing this beta early, to get a lot of feedback from you guys to make sure that when we ship it, you guys say that it's ready for us to ship. A little bit about after 4, some things we're looking at doing. We have created an engine room team as part of 4.0 for performance. We'll continue this team within development and focus on performance going forward. Installations and upgrades. We hear the issues that you guys have. We're going to start addressing that, addressing some minor issues in 4, longer term in 4.1, 4.2, etc. You also see some of those improvements. Active Directory integration. This is an issue that many customers face. We're looking at taking user management from Confluence and JIRA and making them very similar. Now that we're on similar technologies under the scenes with the UI, there's no reason why the user and group management should be different, as well as the underlying LDAP stack behind that. The future from a development perspective on which APIs, it's going to be REST. We have a SOAP and XML RPC today. We'll continue to maintain those through various versions, but we will not be extending those. You'll see the REST APIs come forward and gain parity with our SOAP and XML RPC. We've got some smaller little improvements as well. Time tracking. If you've struggled with time tracking in JIRA today, know that we're going to address some of those little nits with time tracking in the future, as well as priorities and resolutions. This will help improve not only just general JIRA issues, but now you've seen about our acquisition with Greenhopper. So that will also benefit those of you who are using it from an agile perspective. And interface and usability. We know that the interface is a little dated, and hopefully you see from today and then from the keynote yesterday that we're making a significant effort in changing that. But we can't do it in just one release. So with each release from 4 and going forward, you will see UI improvements in various areas of the product. So we're considering for 4.1 the actual view and edit issue areas of JIRA as well. A little bit with Agile. We've done this acquisition with Greenhopper, and I think this is really, really amazing. I think the combination of JIRA and Greenhopper is just really cool. How many people here use Greenhopper today? Yeah, so you guys preach it to the choir, right? I mean, you guys understand the value of that. So that was a really, really big announcement for us. We're taking the Greenhopper people and we're bringing them to Sydney. So fortunately, JC, he's actually doing a presentation in another room, JC Hewitt, the dev for Greenhopper. He's a big broomball player, so fortunately there is broomball in Sydney. I don't know if you're familiar with what broomball is. I wasn't either until he told me, but it's not the shuffling, but it's like hockey with shoes on ice, if you will. But fortunately, they play that in Sydney, so he's going to come over and join the team, sit with us. So you're going to see just a new level of integration between Greenhopper and JIRA just take off, because now we're working in the same time zone, understanding their requirements, actually driving stuff into the roadmap for JIRA. So that's really exciting. So what I like to do is just bring Dylan back up to kind of do another little JQL example of what we're calling the elusive issue.
Hi. So I guess my previous example with JQL was showing you a few small snippets, a few little use cases where maybe you need to find a specific set of issues, right? But I think the real power of JQL sort of expands itself when you really start to use the descriptive power of JQL. You can use it to sort of tell a story, right? And that's kind of how I think about it. That's how I've thought about it in dev, and that's how I've kind of thought about it here as well. So a use case that happens to me a lot, right, is that somebody at Atlassian comes to me with a certain problem, right? And they're describing this problem to me, and they're telling me that, you know, they have a customer that has some data, maybe they're seeing some sort of issue, and as they're telling me this story, I'm sort of sitting there thinking, you know, I've seen this before, I've heard this before, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I don't know the issue key, right? Because you know, maybe it was 3 years ago, maybe it was 2 years ago. I don't really know, but it sounds very familiar. So I start thinking, you know, what do I know about this issue, right? And if I'm using JQL, I can sort of sit there and think, right? Look, I'm a JIRA developer, so I know that that the issue is definitely going to be in the JIRA project, right? I can start with that. Now, I don't know if you can see that in the back, but that's 15,536 issues that I matched. It's a little bit large for the scope that I'm looking for. Probably not going to find the issue I'm looking for just there. I can use some other information that I know. I know that I've worked at Atlassian over the last 4 years, which means pretty much that I was around in JIRA land when 3.3 came out. Oops, sorry about that. So let's say that the affected version is going to be greater than or equal to 3.3. 3.3, sorry about that. 3.3. And I also know that it was probably sometime in the recent past that I would have seen this. So let's say that the affected version is going to be less than or equal to version 3.12, right? So I'm running that search, and that slims it down a bit more, right? Now we're down to 30,977 issues. Still, I don't think I'm going to give the support guy an answer to that question just yet. So what else do I need to know about it? Well, I know that more than likely the reason I'm aware of this is because it had a certain number of votes, right? Like it was interesting to somebody. Somebody knew that this issue was important to them, and therefore people wanted it fixed. Running that search, I've brought it down to 801 issues, right? So I'm getting a little bit closer, but still trolling through 801 issues is probably not very likely. The other thing that I know about it is that, you know, I'm pretty sure that there was a fixed version, right? Like that's the reason I remember this issue, right? Something actually happened about it. So I can say that the fixed version's not empty, which again, it's going to slim it down a bit. So I'm down to 210. I'm getting closer and closer. And probably the last thing I know, I mean, the only reason that this person came to me is because I'm a bit of an expert in the area, or I've dealt with it, right? And the reason that it sticks in my mind is that I know that I was a participant in that issue. So it was definitely me that I commented on the issue or did something like that. And I seem to remember as well, like that at the time, like this coworker of mine, Nick Manier, him and I had a conversation about it. So I'm pretty sure that he was involved with it as well. Let me just type in Nick Manier. Right. And there we go, 5 issues. That's pretty easy to look at. And I can look down there and I can say, JRA 10,065 cascading select custom field doesn't pop up in the move issue screen. That's the issue that we're talking about, and that issue's been resolved. And there's probably a workaround for the client so that I can tell the support guy, that's the issue you need to go to. That's got all the information we need. And I think you can see with this query, right? I mean, I can really just sort of tell the story in my own mind. I can then describe the query in a pretty easy syntax. The autocomplete allows me to sort of just pop in the values without having to think too hard about it. And it allows me to really sort of expose issues that I've always thought are kind of hidden and underneath the covers, right? I mean, I've always found that JIRA just sort of hides certain issues from me, and I think, oh, I just want to find it. Well, I think JQL is the solution to that, really. It opens up the power and really allows you to unlock your data and find those issues. So that's, I just wanted to share that with you.
Thanks, Dylan. So as you see from that, like just thinking about some of the context of the issue itself, and having a little familiarity with the JQL and then using the autocomplete allows you to just really analyze and pick apart your data that you've not been able to really do before. So just a little bit in closing. You see in JIRA's itself, you're going to see continued growth. Our customer base continues to grow. Our partner base continues to grow. This ecosystem, the amount of plugins that we're seeing, more and more are just coming on. we're doing a really good balance in listening to you as our customers, as well as innovating with things like the dashboard implementation and finding really creative ways to solve customer-related issues. JQL is an example of that. I don't know of any particular issue tracker today that is implementing things like Open Social as we are across all of our products, as well as the JQL. So that's really, really cool stuff, and I know you guys are just really going to love that when it gets released. And kind of going back, center of your development world, not only from our products and the integration, but benefiting from our ecosystem and our partners of being able to fill in the gaps on the outside edges to really make your experience of using JIRA just wonderful. So thank you for your time.
Yeah. Yeah, how are you?
I forgot to mention 2 or 3 points that we should name yesterday. Yeah, I talked to you about this.
Let me give you a card as well, in case I don't see you.